Hey YouTube, what's up? Welcome to GZ's Kitchen. Today I'm going to do a video on how to perfectly section a grapefruit so that you're left with just all the delicious meat and none of the pith or membrane of the grapefruit, and you can just have it all there deliciously. So it takes a little bit of practice maybe. You have to be a little bit good with the knife, but very few things are needed to do this. And let's start off with what I have on the counter here. I've got a pointer here, extendable pointer, so that I can point to some other things. We've got grapefruit knife, serrated, you can hear that. It also has the curve of a grapefruit knife, as you can see maybe, the curve of a grapefruit knife. We've got a standard butter knife, which I'm sure everyone has in their kitchen, standard butter knife. Got a pair of regular scissors. They don't have to be super heavy duty. Scissors is what I had on my counter there. So, got a can of WD-40. And note that it's very helpful to have the kind that has the extension tube built on. If you can see that. Very helpful to have that. Got a hacksaw, and it's also really important, I think, with hacksaws to always keep always keep a sharp blade on your hacksaw. I think that's really a key thing too with hacksaws. I've got a bottle of generic bubbles, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I really don't think it matters so much as far as a name brand. So these are just generic bubbles. I've got a rubber ducky. Hello, how you doing? Rubber ducky here. It's a squirt on the back. Silly squirt. So you fill it up with water and like squirt people. Ping pong ball. Again here, I guess I like the Franklin's. Ping pong ball. And, okay. Now, none of the things we just looked at are needed to section the grapefruit, so next thing I'm going to do is move all these things off to the side. Okay. Leaving us with just grapefruit. Got a 5-inch blade boning knife. I believe it's 6 inches, I'm sorry, 6 inches. Cutting board. And a bowl. So, let's get started. What you want to do, and this is a little tricky, you want to kind of get to know your fruit, because you see how this is the end of it, but it's a little off to the side, because we're going to want to slice off each end so that we can sit it properly, and then we want to shave off the skin and the pith. So I'm just going to eye it up and hopefully get a nice cut here. And I'm going to lose a little bit of fruit, as you see, a little bit, and that's a pretty good cut. Looks like I could have taken a little bit more of this off and come across to here and sit a little bit better, but that's absolutely fine. And so I'm going to kind of go parallel with that one and cut this one there. Alright, so this comes out really nicely. So this actually looks to be a little bit of a dry grapefruit, but it's a sun kiss. It looks nice. Looks very nice actually. So. Alright, now here's the part. Okay, it's a little bit lopsided. That's okay. I mean, fruit's they're not going to be perfectly round. So you're going to want to look into, let's get a little bit of a close-up if I can on this. I'm going to start right below the white there, and you're going to want to follow it all the way around. And if you look down into here and kind of push your knife away as you're doing it, you can really see just much better. Let's see if we got all the way through. So we lost a very little bit of flesh there, very little bit. So sync with that, and we took all this pith off, and that's going to be key to once we get all these other pieces off, because then we're just going to be able to slide this right out of the skeleton of the grapefruit. And we'll be done very shortly. So starting again, you want to start right under the pith, and it's a little bit easier to do the second cut because you can also use this as a guide as well. So let's do that. And sometimes you will miss some of the pith, and you'll have to go back and readdress it like that. Just a little bit right there, not a big deal. And we'll just continue on. The more you do this, you know, the less frequently you'll cut your fingers and mess up. No, I'm kidding. You really shouldn't cut yourself at all doing this. Let's take a little of this pith off here. And sometimes you flip it over and maybe start from doing it on that side. Again, missed a little there, and I'll flip it over again there. Flip it over. And I'm not going to go for that whole piece right there. I took a little bit of flesh off of there, but again, not much at all. Really not much at all. You can always squeeze that, or, you know, and have a little shot of grapefruit juice if you want, you know, not waste anything. So you really want to get all this, ooh, I took a little divot out of that. All this pith out. There you go. Even this will matter. This little bit will matter, believe me. You have to get that out. There you go. That's the key. Okay. All right, now we can get to work. This would be a problem. I have to get that out. Because if you don't get those little membranes out, this next portion will be really, really tricky, if not impossible. Now watch what we do. You see here how this membrane is almost separating. Because what we did, taking all the pith off there, down to that very membrane, we're going to be able to, look at that, right in there. And it just comes right off of the membrane. And peel this one over to the side. Do the same with this one. Right off. Take this membrane, take this piece of, look at that section. Oops, got a double section. All right, see, that's a very fine membrane. Sometimes it does that. That's okay. I mean, what do you do about that? And we're just working our way through. Oh, look at this nice piece. Look at that, nice piece. Taking this off. And I guess there's no reason to continue this. You kind of get the idea here, but you see how this is going. Oops, I broke that in half. Otherwise, that would have been a beautiful, beautiful piece. But look at that. Look at that delicious, delicious fruit. This one might be a little tough. You know, I think also too, you see this white, it's really important to go deeply enough when you're doing the shaving of the skin to get that off, because that will hang you up a little bit. So don't be afraid to, you know, to cut a little bit more deeply into the skin. Now these, I could see right away that this, I'm going to take this off just to make that a bit easier. And that goes right off there. Plus, I got that off there. And we have one more piece here. And that comes, oh, I broke it, but. And if you do it properly, what you should really be left with is like the skeleton of the grapefruit with very little to no fruit left on it. Which I do have some fruit on it here. That's a good grapefruit. But pretty much it's like the skeleton of the grapefruit. And that's it. In here, nothing but beautiful pieces of grapefruit. No seeds, no pith. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So that's it. I hope you learned a little something today. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, I could really care less, but I hope you still have a great day. This is GZ saying later on, I'm out of here.